Hi, I'm Debbie Eaton, and welcome to my studio. This is the first video I've ever done, so editing will not be good. A lot of things won't be good, but hang in there. I'll learn. I wanted to share my love of sewing and needlework. I'm primarily a weaver, and I've learned to knit when I was 4, and I've taught knitting and weaving and spinning and needlework and historical dressmaking. I've taught a Regency style class to high school kids here in the town I live in. I just want to share what I know, share my loves for sewing, and hope you will enjoy what I have to offer, and hope that you'll learn something. I hope I'll learn something through the process of teaching. And like I said, this is not going to be the best edited video because honestly I don't know how to do that. So this is going to be kind of off and on and moving things around. So what kind of inspired me to do this group of videos was this book that my mother bought me. She gave it to me for Christmas a few years ago, and what it is, it's a workbook on stitches, hand stitches, and from something written in the book, I believe it comes from around 1890. So this is when most people still didn't have a sewing machine in their home, but they were becoming more popular, but you still had to know how to do basic stitches, and that's kind of the class. Well, I'm calling it a class, but that's what I'm kind of starting this whole thing on. So we've got straight stitches. She talks about learning how to make a bias, doing patching. Believe it or not, there are patches in this piece of cloth here. Made a little pocket, using skills to make a little pocketbook. This is a beautifully hemmed piece of cloth, and we'll talk about that. This is a damask, like if you were going to make your damask napkin. Back in the day when girls did hope chests and they had to do a lot of sewing. This is just learning how to make a gusset. Let's go in here. And this is what that looks like sewn together with a beautiful felled stitch, which we'll talk about and do. What else do I have? These are little, I guess that first one wasn't a gusset. I can't remember what that was called, but we'll get it right when we get there. This is a gusset right here. It's a beautiful little gusset in this little sample work. I know I'm not showing it very well, but it also shows you how to do gathers and to sew the gathers in. And then a little, she does a doll's apron, and then this is a half size of that apron, and it's just all hand sewn, all beautifully done. Whoever did this book was an expert seamstress. The stitches are fabulous. I'm hoping that I can get this photographed for you and you can really see the quality of her work. These are gussets and tapes that some of us don't need anymore. If we're doing historical sewing, you'll need these skills. If you're doing it just for fun, you don't care if you do it historically accurately, you won't need that. But there's hooks, there's little eyelets, there's adding tapes to things, so and little loops here. What else have we got? This lovely little petticoat with all these beautiful little stitches in it and these little feather stitches for decoration. How to patch. You wouldn't just throw a sheet away, you would patch it. And another patch. This was a patch that you wouldn't see primarily what side was worked on. This one you see where it was worked on the other side, because there's just really one right side. But you know, fabulous matching going on here. how to do pin tucks, a little pulled work, putting on some lace, and another little piece done with some embroidery around the edges so you can really kind of see what's going on there. Darning of stockings. So back at the turn of the century, everyone wore stockings every day. You would never go out bare-legged unless you were going swimming, and then before that you would, you know. So beautiful little darn of a knitted fabric. So this is, you know, this has got some stretch to it. And so you'd want your patch to have stretch to it too. So now this, I don't think you'll be able to see it very well, but this is a lovely thin piece of cashmere. This has 4 mends in it. There is a wear here that has been fixed with another layer of cashmere, darned and attached. I didn't even realize it was there when I first looked at it. There's a rip here that has been darned. There's an L-shaped rip here that has been darned. And then, oh, this is diagonal, this is straight. So this has all been fixed on the back side. It's really an amazing little piece of work, and I just appreciate this woman's experience. So, and unfortunately that's it. There's this lovely book and there's nothing else in it, which makes me really sad. But anyway, thanks Mom for giving me this. So that's what I'm basing kind of my little study group here, my class here. So we'll be doing kind of some basics. There's a running stitch, which is just that straight little stitch there across there. And you can use that for lots of different things. There's a back stitch, which is really good if you're doing seams that have some, they're going to have some stress on them. That's a good one. There's an uneven running stitch, and then there is a running back stitch, which you do a running stitch and then you take a little back stitch. This is all done on kind of what I would call shirt weight linen. You can do it on cotton. I would suggest, if you're going to sew along, get an even weave material, which means it has a straight warp and a straight weft going across it. And that's pretty much what people wore. They either cotton, linen, silks, wools, primarily in a plain weave. Some of the silks you might get in different weaves, but stick with, when you're first learning, stick with a nice plain weave fabric. Cotton, linen, best. Tools. Let me put down here. Make sure I'm getting it here. I've got some sharps here. That just basic straight pins. I'd get one that's got a little bit of kind of a sample of different lengths that you can find out which ones you like the best. Some wax for your thread. Always think that's good. You can get these in these little cases, or they come kind of in natural chunks if you can find them. A measure, hem measure. Threads of contrasting colors for your work. I like a little pair of scissors when I'm doing hand sewing, but basically any scissors you've got that can actually cut fabric. And then thimbles. I am a believer in thimbles. This one is a modern thimble. It has a top to it and a little ridge so you won't slide off when you're pushing, if you push with your fingertip. I am a middle finger user, and you know, you push with the tops here or you push with the sides. Excuse me. This is my great-grandmother's thimble, and it has always fit me perfectly. and I really love it. I love the fact that it was hers. I love the fact that it fits me. She used it so much, I don't think you can see it, but there are some holes in there that go straight through, and when you, they hurt when I go through, and we must sew very similar because I've got a lot. I've actually had to turn the thimble over to use it on the other side. But this is a little unusual because it has no tip to it. But it's sterling silver. I have no idea how old it is. So yeah, my great-grandma's. I guess that's it. I hope to start, like I said, there's not much editing here. And I've got notes here. So I want to start with, there's 3 different running stitches. We'll do that. There's back stitch, running back stitch, an uneven running back stitch, and even and uneven basting stitches, which are all kind of basics that you'll need to know. I want this to be for beginners, but I also hope that people who know how to sew will come and enjoy this and maybe learn something. We all can use little tips that somebody else has picked up along the way that we haven't seen. So hopefully you'll come back and we'll start stitching. And thank you for spending time with me and coming to my studio. Thank you very much.